Hello everyone and welcome to our buyer's guide for the Transformers trading card game by Wizards of the Coast. This is part of our Learning Transformers series. If you haven't caught the rest of it, we have chapters for learning what Transformers TCG is, how to play, and of course now how to actually buy the game, which is maybe one of the biggest questions in terms of this game.
It's really hard in a lot of, especially collectible games, and especially if you're new to collectible games.
Particularly if you're new to collectible games,
it's like, what's a booster pack? What's a booster box? How many do I need? What am I supposed to do? So this video is for you, and we'll kick it off. Let's talk about the place that most people are going to think to start, which is the starters.
Makes a lot of sense. So they start the game with an Autobots starter set.
Now, that's the first product that we've seen as of this recording. Now, we anticipate Decepticon starter set and future starter sets.
We even saw the people online at least were talking about, I think there was an image somewhere.
People were talking, man.
People were talking. There was an image of like the Metroplex, which is like this giant city Transformer, but he's a giant card as well. But a starter with, and I think he's 25 points.
Yep.
Which is actually a full
We've
list.
heard rumors about Dinobots, Insecticons, these kinds of concepts. So presumably, if you're 2 years after watching this video, there's going to be a number of starters available to you. So the first thing is, quite clearly, buy the starter that you're most interested in. For those of you who are just starting the game, as we are whenever the game first launches, the only option we have is the Autobots starter set. And if you're an Autobots fan, I think that's a fine thing to buy. And maybe at this point, most people need to just buy an Autobot starter set no matter what.
I think there's just some fundamental cards you will probably want, and the cost is MSRP 15. A lot of places have it for a lot less. So it's very inexpensive to start playing, and it gives you a full, in this game, each character has a stat line, like a number of stars, and you build up to 25 stars, and those Transformers start on the table, and then you have a 40 card deck. So it comes with a full deck and a full starting lineup, but
pretty good.
From our experience in playing, we had two of those that we got at Gen Con 2018, and we played them against each other. And you see sparks of like what this game could be.
It's like you understand the system, but there's just not enough pieces. They're all too simple.
Yeah, and I remember back, we used to play when we were kids the Star Wars TCG by Wizards, and I remember those starters, they started with the, unfortunately, Attack of the Clones was the first set that was based on.
Hey, that was when that was like kicking.
Well, it was right before it came out, and then people realized it wasn't great. But anyways, the point of that is that historically speaking, in games I've played of Wizards, outside of maybe Magic, their starters haven't been that great. And I know with Magic, they have a lot of like pre-built decks that they put out.
Yeah, they do a lot, obviously, for Magic.
Anyways, the starter itself didn't feel like, and the set isn't even out yet, so we don't know, but it didn't feel like it was the best version of the experience. Obviously, two of the same decks with all the same characters is even less interesting.
Yeah.
But it just kind of felt a little under the curve of like what this game's really capable of.
Yeah, ultimately.
But a quick comparison for me is like when we first played Star Wars Destiny, that's another one of those games where it looked, a little childish, and like you play it the first time, you're like, that's pretty fun, but like, I don't know.
Is there any
really
depth here? Is there
super
complexity?
Simple. Yeah. And ultimately, and not every game is Star Wars Destiny, but like that game delivered in terms of depth. So I'm hopeful that with expansions and whatnot for Transformers that I feel the exact same way.
So the point of this is basically our suggestion is grab the starter, or if there's more starters and one appeals to you, grab that one instead. But grab the Autobot starter for now. And then get into that first set, I think, as soon as possible. Like what we would do is probably grab each a starter and then a booster box, like at the same time.
Sure.
And just like immediately get into the finer points of the game and the more complex and interesting parts. In
a lot of games, we recommend start with the starters. Like start with starters, play several games, understand what you're doing before you decide to buy anything else.
See if you like it.
And I legitimately think with Transformers, it's buy the starters no matter when this video is being watched, and then buy one booster box of whatever the most recent set is. I think that's a pretty good like trading card game recommendation, because the most recent cards are the ones that a lot of people are still after. They have a lot of value. So a lot of times you can actually trade some new stuff for a bunch of old stuff.
Yeah. For sure.
And regardless, just having a box is going to allow you to really explore the game. And so what comes in a box?
A box is one foil character card, and they're bigger than normal
cards.
This is per pack, sorry. Yeah. So we got to talk about packs
one
first.
Character per box, rough.
So it comes with 30 booster packs, and each booster pack has one of those big Transformer foil cards. That's cool. And there's, I think, 40 of those in the first set. And then it also has 7 battle cards. And those are essentially like kind of the battle cards, which you guys know if you've been watching the previous videos. Those are what you use to both play actions, and also they buff your attacks and your defense.
So you get 7 in a pack, 30 in a box. That's 210 total. you have to have a 40 card deck of those cards. So you get a pretty good option of like things to explore and things to play with. And a lot of times cards within a set will be thematically paired and have some nice synergy going on. And just based on the set size of the first set, and that could change. I know.
Yeah, usually it doesn't. That's the thing. In games like this, usually that's been ironed out well before this thing hits print, but it could. But as it is, 40 character cards, and I think there's 80 battle cards total, or action cards.
It's really not that many
in the set. You could probably get by, if you wanted to really go in on Transformers, I think 2 boxes is probably pretty much get you there.
Yeah, I think if you just wanted to try it out, obviously starters for each player plus 1 box is a great place to dip your toe in. Yeah. And then the next level for me is if you're wanting to really get everything or start collecting and playing this game on an ongoing basis, I think at that point the natural inclination is about 2 boxes.
Yeah.
Because you should get most of the battle cards, most of the Transformers. And another thing to mention is, are they called super rares?
Super rares, and that's the second piece of this. This is for the Transformers collector who's looking to get, I think there's 2 super rares in the first set. 1 in 79 is your odds per pack. So if you do the math, which I presume that Zach has done before this video, because he was very convincing in the suggestion, you would need to get 3 boxes about to get one of those super rares.
So 3 boxes is 90 packs.
90 packs,
so
1 in 79.
3 boxes, you should probably get one. You're not guaranteed. I mean,
it's collectibility.
It's but you should get it. And also worth pointing out, in a lot of games, you need multiples of these cards to play them, whereas at least in the first set, the 2 super rares are both Transformers. One of them's Bumblebee, right? One's Nemesis Prime. And you can only have one of those in your deck, period. So while it does seem pretty crazy, it's like, 3 boxes to just get this 1 card. At the same time, you only ever need 1 of them.
That's
so
true.
Unlike a lot of games where you might need 2 or 3 or 4.
And only 2 of the battle cards, the action cards. So you don't have to have a lot of multiples. So it's actually pretty reasonable from a collectability standpoint. I mean, it is a collectible game, so take what you want out of that. But for a collectible game, there's not a lot that you need to go in on to get all of the cards that you need. And that might not even be your desired way to play.
Sure.
So it's kind of a tier system here. The first thing you do is you grab your starters and then you grab a box to split with somebody else. Or just grab a couple of booster packs, local store or wherever it is that you get your packs. Then the second thing is okay, I know that I like Transformers and I want to really have the experience and maybe play in some events. 2 booster boxes per set is probably a really good place to be, and then you can trade for what you need and what your faction is and those kinds of things. And then I think if you're taking it pretty seriously and you're into Transformers, 3-ish boxes to start, and maybe you pull both super rares.
I think past 3, you just start getting too much of all the other stuff.
Yeah.
To try to chase down the super rares.
To trade or buy singles.
Which brings me to the next point, which is, depending on when you're getting into this game, if you're just not starting, I think starter sets plus 2 boxes per set that comes out is a great way to just kind of get most of everything. But if you're getting in late in this 4, 5, 6, 8 sets down the road, starters plus 1 box of the latest set, and then to go get old cards, I think singles is the best route.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of places online and locally, a lot of stores will sell individual cards, and so if they're doing that, you can, if you want that Bumblebee, you can just go buy it. Because if not, you're just going to end up with way too many cards. And so that's just a really good way to do that. And of course, trades and meeting other players and all that kind of stuff.
All these things are important. So that's kind of the universal advice that we have for everybody watching. And this is a trading card game, so it's slightly different for every game, but this is our recommendation for most collectible card games like this, depending on set size and whatnot. Transformers is one of the smaller buy-ins for relative completionist achievements.
Which is nice.
Which is very nice, but Zach and I are actually going to do it a little bit differently.
I was going to say we're presenting very differently.
It's worth presenting another piece of advice, which I think is, especially now in the industry, it seems like collectible games are kind of back on the rise.
Yep.
And it's hard. I want to play all these games, but obviously, not only do I not want to play any collectible games in a lot of ways, because it's just this is crazy. I can't do this anymore. But 3 or 4 is really pushing
Insane,
it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of about taking a step back and really just having fun, which who knew?
Which, I mean,
that's what this was ultimately about.
That's inherently what games are for, right? So
I would say so.
The approach we're taking, and especially because we don't have, I think so.
I don't know. It's sometimes chess is not fun. You know what I mean?
It's hardly ever fun at this point for me. But I love chess, side note. But what we're doing, and I think this comes from that place where it's like, not intending to be like competitive and like get all the cards and whatnot. No sets have come out, so like we're still optimistic that the full experience of this game is going to be very enjoyable. And so we're going to get a box, and 4 of us are going to split it. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to draft it, because you get 1 Transformer per pack. There's 30 packs. You divide by 4. You each get to open 7. Almost 8, 7 with a couple bonus packs.
And then we'll do 2 for the winner, maybe.
So you open a pack, and you get to pick a card. Could be the Transformer, could be not, and then you pass the other 7 to your left, and you do that. Everyone has 1 pack open. Then you open your second pack and pass it the other direction, and through those 7 packs, basically, you're going to draft a total of 56 cards.
Nice.
8 of which could be Transformers technically. But just building a deck from that and playing there and getting to kind of experience all the cards, and then we'll have a box of stuff to kind of check it out and build decks with and stuff afterwards. But for me, just that experience alone is worth doing.
We might just do that every set and call it good.
Yeah, and if you're as limited as that, then at that point, this is what I used to do when I was growing up, is like we'd split a box, right? And then we'd play with it. And then things we didn't want, we'd either trade or even sell on like eBay or whatever. And then just keep the stuff we wanted.
Buy a couple of packs every now and again.
Over time, you just kind of collect some stuff. So I think with collectible games, there's a lot of different ranges you can play with, right? Which is like super casual, like we're talking about. You could go a step even more casual, which is like just starters.
Yeah.
And like some booster packs. Or just starters plus buy specific cards if you're singles or whatever. All the way to super gotta have it all, 3 boxes every set, playing in tournaments, playing the game all the time. And so, however you want to play is completely up to you. And I think that the game offers a lot for every stage of that.
That's right. So we actually we've got a Transformers trading card game subscription. So this is something that we do with all of the games that we support. I think pretty much all the games that we support.
If possible.
The idea with a subscription is there's no like monthly charge or anything weird that happens. Basically, I think of it like an automatic pre-order system. So you don't have to pay anything in advance. You essentially reserve however many boxes that you want. Whenever the next set releases, we charge you whatever payment you put on file, and then we ship the boxes to you. It's super good prices, great shipping. I think it's free right now, actually.
In the US, yeah. It's usually free with pretty good pricing.
And that may change depending on when you're watching this, but it's a really good thing to look at, and you can just automatically get any number of boxes from the next set, and that will continue forever until you turn it off or cancel, which is totally free. So there's no like fees and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to take our advice, if you just want to split 1 box, grab a subscription. You can split that with a friend or 3 other friends and do the draft thing. You can do that every set, never have to worry about it again, and we got you covered. So that's one really good way to buy. There's also, of course, your local store, so you can go and look in local areas. You can always find local stores that are doing events for Transformers. My presumption is that since Wizards and Magic is such a big driver in the industry, introducing a new Wizards of the Coast card game is going to get a lot of support, at least up front, from the traditional store communities. Yeah. So check that out, and of course they'll probably be selling packs and boxes and these kinds of things as well.
And then of course, for a game by Wizards, also Transformers, there's usually the big box option. Like if you have a local Target or Walmart nearby, and that's where you normally buy your stuff. They may have starters. They a lot of times will have, I know with Pokemon and Magic
just
and stuff,
grab a pack on the aisle on the way out.
Starters, right? Like they'll have they get their own little starters or whatever. So there's a lot of ways to grab it and at least try it out. And I think if you're a fan of Transformers, you'll enjoy this quite a bit.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate your time, and hopefully this has been a point of clarity and not just more confusion added to the tabletop gaming landscape. So check it out, grab a box, maybe 2 boxes, maybe 3 boxes, maybe starters and some packs, maybe draft with some friends. Take your approach and then commit to it and have a great time with Transformers. We appreciate your viewership, and until next time, keep playing.